sharing 6 lessons.
Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast on my channel. It's your boy Hillman here, and I am back with another episode. First off, I just want to start by thanking everyone who in one way or another reached out to me and just encouraged me or motivated me to just keep doing what I'm doing. With this podcast which I've started, I am super excited, guys. I am super pumped to just connect with people, listen to all their experiences, share their experiences and stories with other people who need to hear it, and just help us grow together and just help us help each other out. I'm super excited about this. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be great. I feel like I would have loved to have this back in the days, so I'm trying to provide this for someone who hopes or who could use it. So yeah, I'm excited about that, guys. Thanks for all the support. I count on your support to keep it going. So let's make this podcast a great one. Today I'm back with another topic which I think it's way overdue. I should have talked about this a long time ago, but I guess it's a learning process, right? Life, you live and you learn and you improve. So today, as the title already reads, I'm going to be talking about 6 very important lessons I have learned over the years. And I'm just saying that, and when the thought of that popped into my mind for the first time, I was like, Hillman, how old are you? Just in your early 20s. What could you possibly have learned that is so important and so groundbreaking and so but yeah, I think life is a learning process, and I've definitely come a long way. I've experienced a lot of stuff, and I think, of course, things might change at some point later in life, but as of now, these are really lessons which have changed my life and have acted as really pivotal moments and pivotal periods for me. So I feel like, this is what I learned so far now, and I think it's a really important core things for me. Of course, if they change later in life, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But for now, I just decided to share this ones with you because someone might need to hear this out there. And I hope it can be motivational and encouraging to someone who might or might not be going through the same things as I went through. The first point, and not really the most important, I'm not going to do it in order of merit, but I'm just going to take it one after another. But this one is quite important. And the first point is the importance of having a vision. Vision is important in not only in like career paths or stuff like that, but just in general in every field of your life. If you're in a relationship, what's your vision for that relationship? If you're studying, what's your vision for that study? If you're doing sports, what's your vision? If you're trying to lose weight, what's your vision? It's just important to have a vision in everything you do, right? And I feel like a vision and principles, at least for me, are interwoven. They're connected with each other. Basically, for me, your principles are like your compass on the path to your vision, right? Your principles guide you. Your principles make sure you don't derail from the path towards your vision. And it's so important that your principles are well defined for yourself and you are aware of them. What do you want to do? What are you working towards? And are you doing everything, or not everything, but are you doing something every day to take you a step closer to that vision? Because I feel like personally, there's always something you can do, either mentally or physically or tangible, but there's always something you can do to take you a step closer to your vision. If you're trying to be a doctor, for example, what are you doing every day? What kind of doctor do you want to become? Are you trying to be a doctor who is there for the prestige, or are you trying to be a doctor who is there for the patients, right? If you're trying to be a lawyer, what kind of lawyer are you trying to become? What are you surrounding yourself? What information are you feeding yourself with? Are you trying to be a lawyer who's going to take bribes? Or are you trying to be a lawyer who's actually going to fight for the law, right? An engineer, I don't know why I just keep talking about all this stereotypical African careers, doctor, lawyer, engineer, but there's way more than that, right? But it's like you're trying to have good relationships in life, but you're not putting the effort now to improve yourself so you can be the person someone wants to be in a relationship with. Basically, just look at yourself, right? Set goals for everything you want to do in life and make sure that you're working every day towards this goal. It's really important to have a vision and have principles that guide you towards that vision. So that for me is like a really important point. Number 1, have a vision. It is important to have a vision. Point number 2, and this is one which it took me a while to learn or to internalize, but it's just the importance of taking care of your mind, or in other words, taking care of your mental health. That is something which, guys, I could go around telling stories about how I got to the point where I am, But long story short, I have learned that it is really important to take care of your mind. Your mind is one of your most priceless possessions. This thing can act as a very effective accomplice in making you or breaking you, whatever you choose to do, whatever path you set out on. Your mind and your mindset and your mental health can be very important in really getting you there or taking you far away from it. It is so key to be aware of what is going on in here. Like, even if you do not have the means to change it or improve it, just be aware of what is happening so nothing really catches you off guard, right? Because I have been in places where I did not clearly understand why things affected me the way they did. Someone would say something and I would have a reaction to that, which I cannot explain, but I just get pissed. I'm just angry. Why am I angry at something someone said? And it's like you give people so much control and power over you, right? And it's like that does not have to be the case, in my opinion. You have to take back that power. Do not let what people say affect you. Like, you can't leave your house in the morning all pumped to have a good day, and you walk out the door and someone says something to you and it spoils, it ruins your whole day. Like, what are we doing? Someone says something and your reaction to that thing is so bad because you're not aware of how it affects you, and you lose control over the reaction to that. Vusi Tembukwayo, I don't know if you know Vusi Tembukwayo, but Vusi Tembukwayo is a South African, and his mindset is just mind-blowing. He's someone I look up to, and he said one time something which really took me, it really got to me. He was like, the mere fact that you have a reaction to something which someone said takes away any degree of control you have about it, because basically a reaction is based on someone else's action. So it's not coming from you, but you are reacting to what someone said. Whereas it's more advantageous for you to take what they said, process it, and then come with your response. And that was just mind-blowing to me. The fact that, you have to take the power away from people to control you and to influence what happens in you. And I feel like that comes predominantly through just being aware of what is happening. Like, it's a process, but I think it's really worth it, because I noticed one thing: when you lose awareness of what is happening with you, then you start having things like anxiety kick in for reasons you don't even know, because you're not aware of what is happening in your mind. You have depression, you have burnout, and these kind of things. They are so sneaky, guys. From my experience, they are so sneaky. If you had ever told me before I came to Europe that I would have a burnout from studies, studies would give me a burnout. Anything education, guys. Let me take you on a short trip back to Cameroon. I was always, or most of the time, I was top of my class, or at least in the top 3 of my class. So education always came not easy. I had to work for it, of course, but it came relatively easier to me. Stuff like math, I did not really have to struggle with it. Biology, chemistry, physics I did have to struggle with, but education was always a given for me, right? So I never really expected, of course, studying medicine, so I was always good in biology. So it was never really a thing which I expected to really bother me. Education, I would have a burnout from something else, but it wouldn't be education, it wouldn't be studies. So when I came here in year 1 and everything was just so off, of course I was not aware of it because I was in denial. I was ignoring it. I was saying it's not that big of a deal. And then I got this close to a burnout where I did not want to go to school. The mere fact that I did not want to go to school was an alarm sign for me. And I thank God that I had the ability to be able to recognize it and pull myself out of it before I got too deep. But it's just crazy how not being aware of what is happening in you and what is going on around you as well can really take a toll on your mind and your mental health and your mindset and everything. So it's really cool. It's really important. Not cool. It is important, I guess, cool as well, to be aware of this thing, to be aware of what is going on in your mind and to take care of your mind. Do whatever it takes to take care of your mind. Eventually, you'll be much better off for it. Much better off for it. The third point is the importance of quality relationships. I cannot emphasize this enough, but you really are a product of the people you hang out with. I feel like you've heard that a couple of times before, but I'm going to say it again because it really is true. You really are a product of the people you hang out with. It is so subconscious, you would almost not recognize the effects. Some people are like, nah, bro, no. Like, I have control over my mindset. I have control over what I take in, and I can pick and choose what I want from certain people and leave what I don't want. Keep lying to yourself. When you realize, right, I hope it's not too late. But basically, who you hang out with really has a control over, really has an impact on what you eventually become. It's a very subconscious thing. Your brain has the capacity to take in a lot of information. There's a lot of things which your brain processes subconsciously, because you biking on a road and seeing a car and deciding to stop, it's not always conscious. Your brain just calculates some things subconsciously, and that's how your brain just makes things easier for you, so you don't have to think about a lot of stuff during the day. So it is a reality psychologically that your brain does process a lot of things subconsciously, and the people you hang around with, the people you surround yourself with, the people you allow to feed you with information on a daily basis, yeah, newsflash, they do have an impact on what you become and who you become. So you really want to pick and choose these people rightly, to have the people around you that reflect what you're trying to become, people that motivate you to be better, people that will lift you up, people that will fight for you, people that would pick you up when you're low. Because if you're trying to be something big, you're trying to be a leader, and all you do is sit around with your friends and gossip about other people, you're really setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion. Really look at what the people around you are contributing to your life, and vice versa, what you're also contributing to their lives. It's important for it to be a two-way thing, but you really want to surround yourself with people that motivate you and take you closer to who you want to become. I come from a culture where people get very defensive when you tell them something they could work on, or something they are doing wrong, maybe. They get very defensive, and so people also do not really feel comfortable telling other people what they can work on. But you really need people who keep you accountable, people who will tell you it as it is, people who will not sugarcoat it, because eventually you need to grow, and you either hear from people you trust, people who care about you, or you're going to hear from people who are just there to criticize you and not really care about you as a person. So choose, which one do you want to get feedback from, the people who care about you or the people who are just there to give you it as it is. And also the people who are giving, ask yourself, would you rather that person, if you really care about the person, would you rather the person stay doing what they're doing, which is just constantly leading them to a place which is ultimately going to lead them to anarchy, chaos, and doom? That's very dramatic. Or would you rather tell them about it and they have the reaction, but at least they're aware of it and they work on it? I think the latter is the better option. But yeah, just think about it for yourself. But it's so important to surround yourself with people who help build you and help you grow, who pray for you and all this kind of stuff. And it's not just in personal relationships, it's not just like friendships and all that kind of stuff, but even in professional relationships, it's so important to just build these bridges, just build this network. Networking is so important. It is never too early to start networking. People I knew in primary school, nursery school, I talk with them now. They're doing big things, and these are the people I know in 10 years time are going to be CEOs and all this kind of things. It's a process, and we're all going to enjoy that process till we get there. And it's so important to network. I always say, I was talking to some friends the other day at dinner, and I came up with this definition. Not really came up, but I thought about this definition, which describes it so well for me. Networking basically is the process of creating this net, right, which later in life is going to work for you. You see what I did there? Creating a net which is going to work for you, hence networking. But yeah, I think that is so important. It's just so important to have people around you who have quality in them, right? And if you look around you and there is no quality, like all you see around you is tricky people, right? You might want to check yourself, because you might be the person who is not quality. And in that case, you have a lot of work to do. But having meaningful relationships, creating quality relationships in your life is definitely the third point, third lesson which I've really learned in life, which so far has worked for me, and I'm trying to keep it that way. The fourth point, which is a tricky point coming from me, who grew up in Cameroon, the culture which I grew up in, This is probably not going to sound right to a lot of people who are listening to this, but it's a very important point, and I'm so convinced about this. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to make mistakes. Fail. I have something reading on my board in my room. It's that way. I'm not going to turn the camera, but it says, if you stop making mistakes, you are no longer at the frontier of anything. The moment you find yourself no longer making mistakes and everything going on so smoothly, you are no longer at the frontier of whatever you're doing. And if you're truly trying to be your best potential, or truly trying to excel and really be, top of whatever you're doing, you need to be at the frontier. You need to be at the top of the game. You need to be on top of everything. And if you're no longer making mistakes, hey, newsflash, you're no longer at the frontier. So it's so important to, just make mistakes. I remember the first time I failed a course back in high school, I laughed. I took my paper and I had 2 out of 20. I was like, is this my paper? And I saw my name. I was like, damn, I actually wrote this. It was so funny to me. I started laughing in front of the teacher. Of course, he was pissed because why am I laughing when I failed? But to me, it was just interesting. And I know in university, the first time I failed a course in university, I was so confused, guys. I did not know the emotions that were running through me. I did not know what to do. I did not know what to say. Lizanne can testify to this. She was there. I think she witnessed the whole thing. She witnessed me just being confused. I was laughing. I was crying. I called my sister. I was like, I don't know what is happening. I failed. It was so mind-blowing to me that I failed. It was a mix of emotions which I could not, till date, I can't really describe. But it was just because I came from a culture where, you were taught that failure was such a bad thing. You shouldn't fail. You should always try to, just be on top of everything. Just pass. Don't fail. Failure is not, you're not supposed to make mistakes. And however, a fundamental lesson I learned, it's just mistakes are a part of the process. I study Maastricht University now, where we have a problem-based system of learning. So our whole learning process basically is identifying problems and trying to find solutions for them, real-life practical solutions and problems. And that really just changed my mindset on a lot of things. I see problems as opportunities now and no longer obstacles. It gives me such a different perspective on life in terms of I can take on anything, and coming from Cameroon, where all I see every day is problems. Everything is a problem. For some reason, we have a lot of great things going for us, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of things which can get better. And just having this mindset now puts you in a much better place to try to find solutions for that, But if you're afraid to make mistakes, if you're afraid to fail, then you will never really take on a challenge, because you're always having that skeptical mindset of what if it fails? And as long as there is a chance of failure, I'm not going to try it because I'm afraid of failing, right? But that is really a mindset which I think doesn't really help us if we're trying to grow our societies and get better. And also just from my experience with the language, right? I studied medicine in Dutch, and before I studied medicine in Dutch, I studied Dutch for 6 months. Prior to that, I did not really do much of studying Dutch. And I know when I started my bachelor program, my Dutch was a mess. My Dutch was, Shout out to all my classmates in year 1 who kept encouraging me and, just letting me push through and stuff like that. Because, yeah, guys, making mistakes was something I didn't want. And you should just picture this. I came from Cameroon, where I was top of my class. I spoke English really well. I never had problems with articulation and stuff like that. All of a sudden, you're really humbled to this point where you basically are struggling to construct a sentence. I was struggling to construct a sentence, guys. I was struggling to pronounce words. That experience is very humbling. It is one of the most humbling experiences you would ever have, and I'm grateful for that, because it taught me mistakes are part of the process. It took a while to actually come to that point where I accepted the fact that I will not be as great and as fluent in Dutch as someone who grew up here, but that's okay, because I have a lot more to me than just the language, right? And that for me was just a lesson which extended far beyond the language. The fact that I I know I can make mistakes and I grow from that. Because the more mistakes I made with the language, the more I learned. And that's something I hear from everyone who's gone abroad and is studying in a different language. Mistakes are a part of the process. I come from Africa, I come from Cameroon, where our egos are as huge as whatever building you find yourself in. We have huge egos. Like our egos can span office complexes. We have very interesting egos that we do have. So it really makes it tricky when you're trying to learn and make mistakes and grow from that when you have such a big ego. But I feel like our ego is something which we really need to tame. Whew. We Africans need to tame our egos, especially the men, because growth, like if you're trying to actually build yourself, build your personal brand, you need to take your ego and put your ego in the right place, because your ego can really stop you from taking the risks which would just spring you to a higher level. So that's something which I definitely have learned, the power of failure. And also just linked to this point, I cannot expatiate enough how important it is to just start. I always say that because your brain is always going to make up reasons for why you shouldn't start, why it probably is not the best idea to start now, why it will probably not work. And that is true, but you would really never know until you try. So I'm all about just start it. If it fails, you learn from it. That's the worst thing that can happen. You learn from it. And that sounds like a pretty good outcome to me. Just start and see how it goes. Because if you don't start, you will never really know how it was going to turn out. And the truth is, if you start something today, you're always going to be better than if you start tomorrow. I'm not talking about comparing yourself to someone else. No, you as an individual starting today is always better than starting tomorrow. You can quote me anywhere. But it's so important to just start today. If you have an idea, if you have something which you're trying to work on, if you're trying to be the best doctor, what are you doing today to take you a step towards that goal? If you're trying to be the best neurosurgeon, the best orthopedics, the best hairdresser, the best nail technician, the best plumber, what are you doing today to take you a step closer to that goal? Because the whole process is you fail, you learn, you improve, and you grow. You fail, you learn, you improve, and you grow. It's so simple, guys. Just trust the process and have your vision on point, right? So that was point number 4. Point number 5. This is one which I personally, on a personal note, really struggle with. Invest in yourself. What? Let me take you on a little story time journey, whatever. When I was applying for medicine, we have to fill a portfolio, which part of it involves describing yourself, right? And I'll share with you 2 experiences. These 2 experiences have been so interesting. Before I studied medicine, I applied for another program in Maastricht called MSP. For MSP, I was denied for the reasons which I think is this. When I went to the interview, they asked me, "What are you bringing to the university?" I was like, "I play basketball. And you know what? I'm a whole package. And once you accept me to your university, I would unbox my package and you would see what I am made of." Wow, I couldn't be any cockier, could I? Fast forward to when I was applying for medicine. And a friend's parent was helping me out to do my portfolio and try to help me present myself, or at least sell myself. And for some reason in Cameroon, that's like it's 2 opposite ends. I don't know how I'm 2 opposite ends at the same time. But anyways, for some reason, in Cameroon we don't really like to brag about what we do. So if you're taking first in class, if you're smart, if you're talented, we don't really brag that like that. We don't even, people call it selling yourself. We see that as bragging. The moment you start talking about yourself in a way, it's just like, okay, who do you think you are? You're trying to think too high of yourself and stuff like that. So we're always trying to be very modest and stuff like that. So when he told me I had to sell myself, I know I really struggled with that, the whole idea of selling yourself, because it sounded very selfish. And I think that really reflects a lot of the way I thought about a lot of things. Just more, it shouldn't be about me, it should be about other people. And to some degree that is right, and I still believe that for sure. But if you're gonna be there for other people, you need to be good, because out of the abundance of what is in your heart, out of your abundance, you can extend to others. But if you are not okay, what are you extending? You're extending garbage to others. So that is something which it took me a while to understand and to internalize, but it is so important to invest in yourself. It is so important to take the time out which you need to protect your mental health. It is so important to take the time out which you need to take care of your physical health. It is so important to just take the time out to do the things which you like, to do the things which fuel you up. Because if you're pumped, if you're hyped, if you're psyched, you are even better off for the people you are trying to provide for and people you're trying to take care of and stuff like that. I know that is something which for me it was really confronting. Just like, okay, I need to take the time off social media. I need to take the time off, all these things just to take care of myself and reflect and recollect. I always thought, if I leave social media, the world is gonna end. What if these people need me? What if I'm not there when they need me? I'm gonna be a bad friend. I'm gonna be a bad this person. I'm gonna be a bad brother. I'm gonna be a bad child. And that really prevented me from taking care of myself and taking the steps to ensuring my own well-being. But newsflash, some people don't even notice you leave when you leave. I don't know who needs to hear this, but they will be fine. The world is not gonna end when you leave Instagram. The world is not gonna end when you leave Facebook. The world is not gonna end when you switch off your WhatsApp notifications. The world is really not gonna end. No one is gonna die. Everyone is gonna be totally fine if you switch off your Instagram notifications. This is something which for me was so difficult to accept. The fact that I have my WhatsApp notifications switched off now. I always thought someone was gonna die when I switched it off, but no. You'll be okay. I left Instagram for a month and people barely noticed I left. People barely noticed I wasn't on Instagram for a month. So yeah, guys, it's this kind of things which, if you have to take the time for yourself, everyone else is going to be eventually much better off for that. And another thing I learned, of course, is accountability partners help you a lot. People who really have the permission to tell you to sit down and listen, and you will sit down and listen. People who see you doing what you're doing to try and improve yourself, and they really care about you that much to help you. Fortunately for me, I have those people around me. I'm surrounded by people who really care about me and who want me to be the best version of myself, right? So they could really tell me when I'm investing in myself and tell me when I'm over investing in myself, because that balance has to be there. I have people who would tell me, hey, Hillman, I think you can do more now. You're slowing down. Like, hey, what's happening? Pick up the steam. We're not sleeping out here. Wake up. Why are you sleeping? What are you sleeping for? Is your life is your future sleeping? No, you got to keep working on your goals. And I have people who always tell me, hey, you need to calm down. You need to slow it down. Tone it down a bit, otherwise you're going to burn yourself out. So I feel like that balance is really important to have, and I feel like just that accountability that helps you keep the balance, that is really really important. If you'd ever told me I would ever get close to a burnout, guys, I would have cursed you. But it became a reality. Once you lose sight of the things that are actually important, you can easily fall in that pit. And yeah, that was lesson 5 for me, guys. Just invest in yourself. Take care of yourself. If you need the time off, take the time off. Everyone else is much better for that. The last thing, the 6th point, which is the most important point, God always comes through. Repeat it again. God always comes through. The other things, everything else, right? Those can be good, but stuff still goes wrong. God is like that binder that just puts everything together. At least for me, I know throughout the years He's proven Himself day in and day out, time and time again. And it's just, God is it. Like he's just almighty. He just knows it all, and he just puts everything and makes everything fit properly together. So guys, that's it for me. The 6th point, God always comes through. That's been it, guys. Those were 6 lessons which I've learned, which have been so fundamental and so transformational for me. I feel like I have to share with someone. Hopefully this helps one of you out there. Let me know in the comment section if you relate to any of this, if any of this helps you, or if there's something else you're curious about, or questions you have, or topics you want to talk about, or you want me to talk about. Let me know, and I'll be sure to make a video about that, or invite someone to the channel who can talk about that. I hope this video was helpful to someone. I hope this podcast was helpful to someone. And until next time, guys, stay blessed.